Good morning, Oklahoma, and welcome to Cow-Calf Corner. This week, we talk about the impact of selection pressure applied to marbling and what it's done for us in the beef industry over the past 10, 20, 25 years. We discussed last week, we are seeing a shift in our weekly harvest mix of carcasses. The month of March, we actually saw about 15% of all the beef carcasses grade prime. We're down to about 8% that are grading select. And of that 73 to 74% that are grading choice, we're seeing a shift in those to the upper 2/3 of choice. What is the significance of that? When we think about quality-based, premium branded products like certified Angus beef and some others, you've got to be in the upper 2/3 of choice or that highest quality grade of prime to actually get there. So why is this happening? Well, we're seeing fewer Mexican feeder cattle in our mix. We are feeding cattle longer, and we know that taking them to heavier weights and feeding them longer is tapping all the marbling potential we can. But the reality is, without the additive genetic potential to marble, there wouldn't be that potential to get these higher quality grades. And so, underlying all this, and the foundation for it, is really the genetic potential for our cattle to marble. We take a look at something specific. The Angus breed, which has about an 80% plus share of all the bulls marketed in this country, has seen a dramatic increase in the marbling EPD in the population of cattle. If you take a look at the chart that's on the screen right now, we can go back about 50 years, see where we incrementally made some improvement through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. That began to bump up and get a little bit steeper up into about 2005. More increase up to about 2015, but in the last 10 years, dramatic spike in the marbling EPD by birth year as we track that genetic trend in Angus cattle. The average Angus born in 2025 has a marbling EPD of 9200ths. There has been great economic incentivization to improve marbling. When we think about the industry norm of grid-based marketing of carcasses, obviously the premiums paid for those higher quality grades, it gives incentive to cattle feeders to actually identify higher marbling cattle. It also serves as an example of using modern selection tools, genomics, EPDs, genetic merit scorecards, because it's not only those cattle going to harvest at higher quality grades that are incentivized, but when we can identify young breeding stock, be it in the forms of bulls or heifers to put in production, there has been greater economic incentive to produce those type of cattle. As I always say, and it's been a couple years since we talked about this is a great success story on behalf of cattle breeders in North America and the genetic improvement we've made. Marbling is a highly heritable trait, serves as an example. This is not to suggest that we need to have single trait selection for marbling, but in reality, a very balanced breeding approach, taking all our economically important traits into consideration. Marbling is not genetically antagonistic to any other of those traits that are economically important to us. It does nothing to raise production costs, further incentivizing the benefit of improved additive genetic merit for marbling. With that, we'll conclude, and as always, thanks for joining us on Cow-Calf Corner.